What? Good from Ananda.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Hare Ram.
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Thank you so much for joining. I know the weather is very interesting, and so this is the real test today. No, whoever came today is really serious about Krishna consciousness. So thank you so much for coming all the way. Most of us are nearby, but I know with the heavy and pouring rain, it's not that easy. So we have very, very special, I should not say guests, because he's our own part of ISKCON family. So sometimes it becomes very awkward for me to introduce our Guru Maharajas, all the spiritual masters, but I will still try to do it as much as I can. So Maharaj, with your due permission, I will like to introduce you with all the devotees for just a minute, and then I will let you continue with the Srimad Bhagavatam.
No more than 10, no more than 10 words.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was hoping you will say no, you can't do that.
10 words.
Sure, Maharaj. So, His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj is with us today.
That's 10 words.
Very, very dear disciple of His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai. He's not new to us. He has been here at least once in the past. And very, very fortunate, Guru Maharaj, you're here. You are here with us after a long, long time. Actually, we are having this program, in-person program. So we are so fortunate to have you here. And little bit about Maharaj. Maharaj joined Krishna consciousness movement, Hare Krishna movement, at the age of 24. And long time.
I'm 25 now.
Okay. That is a transcendental age, Maharaj. And Maharaj has served Srila Prabhupada's mission day and night, 24 hours, traveling all around the planet. And Maharaj is also, he accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus area in 1986. And he got also involved with ISKCON prison ministry. Very, very interesting service Maharaj is doing. Not many devotees are doing this very, very special service for the prisons of our country or the whole. Maharaj, I think you are doing it for the around the globe also, right? This prison ministry.
Some places we're doing it in the UK, and also Croatia, Slovenia.
Right.
And there are other devotees who are also serving in different countries.
Hari Bol. And it's a not easy service, and the results have been very, very phenomenal. It's, you know how with this service, a lot of prisoners, they have got transformed and they have joined Krishna consciousness. So I will not take much time. We can keep on glorifying Maharaj. Any words are left. I would like to let Maharaj speak and start the Srimad Bhagavatam Katha so that we can all get benefited by it. So thank you so much, Maharaj, once again. Hari Bol.
Thank you. I would like to begin with one bhajan, which is called Sri Nama Kirtana, also known as Yasomatinanda. You can find it on your phones. It's called Sri Nama Kirtana. Maybe some of you are, it's easy to follow. So we'll do a quick bhajan and then we'll begin discussion. Yasomati Nandana Welcome, T. Oh, welcome. You did it.
Only by your mercy, Mother.
God's
Swear to God.
That was God's mercy. It was rain mercy. It was the rain of love of God, right? Okay, so there is a verse that I was asked to speak on, and I guess our host here, he knows how to pick verses. This one is a blockbuster. He didn't choose one verse, he chose 5.
Right, I heard a beautiful lecture by you twice on that whole group of words.
Bunch of verses. Yeah, it's a bunch of verses. Okay, Mumugyantamirandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chatsu Unmiritam Yena Tasman Sridhara Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padammayam Dadati Swam Padanti Bhakti Namaho Vishnu Padaya Bhutale Shrimakti Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Nirvishesha Sundari Kashtatra Devatai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhari Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is from the 11th canto, 19th chapter. Chapter is entitled The Perfection of Spiritual Knowledge. Is part of what we know as the Uddhava Gita. These are instructions that Lord Shri Krishna directly gave to his very dear disciple, Sri Uddhava. Sometimes it's understood that these instructions are similar to what was given to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, but taking to a higher level of spiritual knowledge, saying through philosophical points, gone deeper and more thorough in the philosophy. So I would like to read the Sanskrit, but it's so long, and but I'll go right to the translation. And the Sanskrit is really beautiful. Should I read it?
Yes.
Do we have time? Yeah. Okay. Sradamrita Katayam Sradamritam Katam Yame Sarvamara Anukirtanam Ananishcha Pujayam Stuti Vistavanam Mama Adara Parijayayam Sarvaga Abhivandanam Madbhakta Puja Vyadika Sarvabhuteshu Manmati Manarteshu Vanga Chesta Vachasa Bhagunirnanam Mayarpanam Chamanasam Sarvakarma Vivarjanam Madartata Padityakyo Bhogasya Cha Sukasya Cha Istam Datum Bhutam Jatam Mad artam yad vitam tapaha evam dharma manushyanam puravatma vidam maya sanjayate bhakti kodyo to pavasti sishyate. So that was 5 verses. This is spoken by Lord Sri Krishna himself. So you can understand this is the most authoritative of all spiritual knowledge. Now, what Krishna is doing, I'll give you a little preview. Those of you who are familiar with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Nectar Devotion, you know that in one of the chapters there is a listing of the 64 items which make up devotional service. It says there are 64 items of devotional service. And is there any way to put this in a different position? Because I can't see anybody there. It's nice to see the audience. They can still see me. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, even a little bit this way is okay. Yeah, that's okay. Now, what Krishna does, he takes those 64 items. These were given by Srila Rupa Goswami, and he condenses them down. Of course, these are the actual items of bhakti given by Krishna himself. What Rupa Goswami did was expand them into 64. But actually, Krishna speaks these 64 that we know of by Rupa Goswami in that devotion into 15 items. And these 15 items comprise the entire process of pure devotional service. And then he'll make that statement after he describes these 15 items. So what is he saying? Translation. And this is what he's listing these 15 items. Firm faith in the blissful narrations of my pastimes, constant chanting of my glories, unwavering attachment to ceremonial worship of me, praising me through beautiful hymns, great respect for my devotional service, offering obeisances with the entire body, performing first-class worship of my devotees, consciousness of me in all living entities, offering of ordinary bodily activities in my devotional service, use of words to describe my qualities, offering the mind to me, rejection of all material desires, giving up wealth for my devotional service, renouncing material sense gratification and happiness, and performing all desirable activities such as charity, sacrifice, chanting vows, and austerities with the purpose of achieving these. And Krishna ends. These constitute actual religious principles by which those human beings who have actually surrendered themselves to me automatically develop love for me. What other purpose or goal could remain for my devotee? So he ends, he says, after listing these 15 items, he says there's nothing else outside of devotional service. And there's a purport here where the acharyas, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, give an explanation of few of these 15 items. So maybe we can read that to get a little bit of focus on some of these. The words Mad Bhakta Pujayadika are significant in this verse. Ayadika indicates spiritual or superior quality. The Lord is extremely satisfied with those who offer worship to his pure devotees, and he rewards them accordingly. Because of the Lord's generous appraisal of his pure devotees, worship of the pure devotees is described as superior to the worship of him himself. This is interesting. The worship of the pure devotees are superior to the worship of the Lord himself. In one verse from one Purana, it's called the Adi Purana, Krishna speaks and he says, those who say they are my devotee are not my devotee. But those who say they are devotees of my devotees are actually my devotees. Krishna himself declares that those who worship my pure devotees are actually my devotees. Because the understanding of the principles is the pure devotee, as Krishna explains actually Lord Vishnu explains in the 9th canto of Bhagavatam, in the story where Durvasa Muni and Maharaj Ambarish, when Durvasa Muni offended or felt offended by Maharaj Ambarish, he tried to retaliate by killing him by creating this fiery demon. Maharaj Ambarish took shelter of Krishna immediately. Krishna came with his chakra and killed the demon and chased after Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni went everywhere, running for the chakra. He's a powerful yogi. He's an expansion of Lord Shiva. And he had the power to fly throughout the universes. He went to Shiva Loka. Shiva said, Hare Krishna, good luck. It's Vishnu's chakra. We wish you well. And then he went to Brahma Loka. Brahma said, what can I do? It's Lord Vishnu's after you. He's our worshipful Lord. And so he's running from the chakra. Finally, he goes to Vishnu Loka, falls at the feet of Lord Vishnu, and he's now in a very, state of anxiety, knowing that the chakra is there waiting to see what's going to happen. And so the Lord calls off the chakra, but then he starts to preach. And one of the verses he says, which is written in that section, he says, the pure devotees are in my heart, and I am in the heart of my pure devotees. I know no one but my devotees, and my devotees know no one but me. How dear the pure devotees of the Lord are to the Lord is impossible to understand. When the 4 Kumaras were somewhat offended by giant Vijay in the spiritual world, they wanted to visit Lord Vishnu, or Lord Narayan actually. They had gone through 6 gates. The 7th gate, they were stopped by these 2 gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay. And they became somewhat disturbed. And there was a little, discussion, kind of an argument, where the Kumaras were feeling really offended. They really wanted to see the Lord, and there was no reason why they should have been checked from seeing the Lord. But these gatekeepers acted wrongly. When the Lord found out there was some contention going on at the 7th gate, he usually takes help from Garuda to get where he wants to go, but he forgot about Garuda this time. And he came automatically. Lakshmi was left behind also. And he came just to see and to help. And then when the Lord saw what was happening and how his devotees were being offended, he said, for my devotees, I would cut off my arms rather than see my devotees become offended by others. And so the Lord wanted to show that how dear the pure devotees are to the Lord. So this is the secret of bhakti. This is the secret of bhakti. It's a secret because those who don't understand it remains a secret. But those who understand it, it is an open secret. A secret that reveals the truth. And what is that truth? That Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasadam, without the grace of the spiritual master, no one can approach the Supreme Personality of God. The one who tries to do it, Nagatito Topi, they get nowhere. They fail. So this is the secret of devotional service. When one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, he was very close to Prabhupada. He was doing personal service for Prabhupada. He developed a real love for Srila Prabhupada. And he said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I don't have any attraction for Krishna, but I have a lot of attraction for you. Prabhupada said, that's all right. Prabhupada didn't want to present himself in that way, but he was saying, you understand. And that is the thing. That one is that attraction. Yasya Devi Para Bhaktir, Yata Devi Tata Guru, Yasyaita Prakite Kartam Prakasanata Mahatmana. One who has Implicit, the word implicit is a very strong word. Implicit faith in both the words of the spiritual master and Krishna, all the imports of all Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed to that devotee in the heart. Even if they don't study the Vedas, still they have come to the conclusion of the Vedas, having that implicit faith in the instructions of the spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada would like to illustrate sometimes. He would say, my spiritual master is wrong, but he's right. Now that's a hard one. Nowadays, it's not like that. Kali Yuga, disciples say, Guru Maharaj, you sure you want to give me that instruction? We can discuss this, I'm not as advanced as you think I am. In other words, there's always some kind of hesitation, debate. Sometimes people don't even say anything, they just don't follow. And so, but one who has that complete faith in the instructions of the spiritual master, then they have reached perfection in spiritual knowledge. Their knowledge is complete because everything is there. Whether we sing every day in the prayers of the spiritual, what is that part? Shiguru Charane Rati, I say, Utamagati Yeka Sanipurti Sarva As. That by the mercy of the spiritual master, all of one's desires, all of one's aspirations are automatically fulfilled. What is the next line? Guru Mukha, no, that's before that. After that, the next verse. No. Chaksudan Gilo Jay, Janme Janme Prabhu Sri, Divya Gyan, Ride Prakashita. He's opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. He's my Lord both after birth. And what is that? Chakshu Jan Dilo Ye. He gives transcendental knowledge. So what is that transcendental knowledge? Prabhupada concises that and explains that transcendental knowledge is you are Krishna's servant. That's all. That's your only identity. Therefore, because you know that as your only identity, your activities are correlated with that. In other words, you engage in devotional service. Because you know, who am I? Krishna service. Jiva Sarupai Krishna Arikshita. That is our only identity. Material identities are temporary and ephemeral. They come and go, but based on the body and the situations we're in. So we accept these identities in order to function in this material world, in order to get some business done, to take care of practical matters, which are important and necessary. But ultimately, behind all of that, we understand that our real identity is that we are eternal servant of Krishna. That never changes. Even if it's forgotten, it's never lost, it never changes. When we understand that, then we can understand how to achieve perfection. So that's what's being emphasized here. That the spiritual master is the knowledge manifestation of Krishna in a merciful form to guide us back to that realization that I am eternal servant of Krishna. That's my real and only identity. Okay. So here, the words mud, artha, anga, chesta state that ordinary bodily activities such as brushing the teeth, taking bath, eating, etc., should all be offered to the Supreme Lord in devotional service. Now, Lord Chaitanya instructed Sanatana Goswami write a scripture describing all the activities of devotional service specifically for grihastas, those who live in a family life and practice Krishna Bhakti. And in that, he speaks about waking up in the morning. What do you do the first thing you do when you wake up? The first thing you do is you remember your spiritual master and you offer your obeisances to your worshipful people. And then from there, then you go on to take care of your bodily needs, and such as brushing the teeth and taking care of bodily needs, taking bath, and then getting ready, putting on clean clothes, and beginning one's worship for the day. All that is nicely illustrated in detail in Bhaktivedanta by Sanatana Swami. So practical activities which pertain to ordinary bodily needs are also meant to be used in the service of the Lord. As Krishna said, Yakarosi, Yaranasi, Yachahosi, Dadasi, Yatapasi Tukunti, Takurusha Marat. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away, as well as whatever sacrifices you perform, should be done as an offering to me. So that's an art that one has to learn. And that art is learned, as Srila Prabhupada said, by hearing practical instructions given by the spiritual master. How to use day-to-day activities in devotional service so that one doesn't fall into the consciousness of ordinary. What makes these relevant is that I'm a devotee. In other words, I'm trying to be the devotee, and therefore I have to live my life. And part of that is taking care of bodily needs. So why should I separate my bodily needs from my spiritual consciousness? In other words, I do everything because this body belongs to Krishna. The body is given to us by our parents, but they get it from their parents. But out at the ingredients that make up the body, Bhumi Rapanavo Bayukamana Buddhavevicha Hankar Iti Ame, Bina Prakriti Astada, earth, water, air, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, make up all the material forms. So our bodies are a combination of 5 gross and 3 subtle elements. That's all. That's it. But inside is me, the soul. And so this body is Krishna's energy. He says that these 8 elements are my separated energy. So they become connected to the source when we have the consciousness of what even when we perform bodily activities, we do it as an offering to Krishna. It's just a matter of consciousness. That's all. And of course, in some cases, there are rules and regulations how to do these things in the most best possible way. Such as eating and sleeping. You can get really down to the details according to the Vedic culture, which teaches everything on all levels. It's all in the Vedas on how to use ordinary bodily activities in the best possible way to gain more of a consciousness of Krishna in our day-to-day life. Yeah. Okay. So we follow the Vedic tradition, the rules and regulations, then we're in the right arena. And then it's just a matter of developing the consciousness. Yeah. So, okay, well, that's one of the things that's mentioned here. And we'll go on. It says, the word vachasa mad gunir now indicates that whether one speaks in ordinary crude language or with learned poetic eloquence, one should describe the glories of the Supreme Personality. So in describing the glories of the Supreme Personality of God, one may not be so eloquent. But that doesn't really disqualify one, nor does it minimize the devotional principles. Even if it's broken in broken language. Of course, there is one verse in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that even spiritual knowledge comprised imperfectly still has the effect of the knowledge that it's given. Because the knowledge is what's important, even though the language may not be imperfect. And Prabhupada uses the example that if there's a fire in the house and the neighbors are from another culture and they don't understand the language, you say fire, 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 they immediately understand. There's no need to try to converse in the language they understand. So in the same way, when one's glorifying the Lord, either through chanting or through speaking, the eloquence makes it what we say. It gives us some sweetness and attracts the minds. But even if it's done in broken language, it is considered to be acceptable by the Lord. It's the essence of what is being said, and not so much how it's being said. We see sometimes that someone tries to speak something Krishna conscious. They're very sincere, but they don't have the ability to formulate the words nicely. Still, that doesn't discredit or doesn't disqualify the person in any way. Of course, we should try to do it nice. For instance, in Kirtan, I'll give you an example. And now we see devotees are becoming more expert in Kirtan. The proper melodies, proper mridanga players, everything is there. And Prabhupada wanted that. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was not like that. Even if people sang off key, and he couldn't sing either, Bhaktisiddhanta. He didn't have that voice. And he would sing, but he would sing with such bhakti that it sort of overshadowed the fact that he couldn't carry a tune. Like I'm singing, like tonight, I can't carry a tune. And you guys were just cheering me on, saying, I hope he makes it. I sound like a frog who's being chased by a snake. But the point is that in Kirtan, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati never really emphasized the importance of what we call excellence of elements. We call it excellence of elements. Now, but Prabhupada did. Why? Did he deviate from his spiritual master or try to do something better? No, because Bhaktisiddhanta wasn't preaching to the Western mind. He was preaching in India. And so people would accept in that way. But in the West, unless you have nice expressions with instruments, proper singing, people really can't get into it for some reason or another. But that's not the criteria, because Prabhupada would also make that point. There was one time when Prabhupada was in Vrindavan, and the devotees had been there, so they had met this real professional bhajan singer. And he was quite popular and quite melodious. He could sing in different melodies. So they made friends with him. They brought him to the temple one day, and it was during the morning program. So they requested Prabhupada if he could sing one bhajan. And Prabhupada said, yeah. And so he started to sing, and then Prabhupada started making faces. And then he indicated to devotees, that's it. we heard enough. Now he was singing beautifully, but he was singing with the idea, I'm a good singer. You just listen to me and you'll float in higher realms of existence. In other words, he was proud. He was proud of the fact that he had such ability. And that came through in the kirtan. So what Prabhupada did is he pointed to a devotee who couldn't sing at all and said, you lead. And the devotee was, because Prabhupada told him, so he did. And everybody was gone. It's like, but Prabhupada wanted to make the point. But still, he did emphasize the importance of excellence of elements. In other words, nice pratanga, proper melodies, everything in sync, because the Western mind has to have that, otherwise there's no attraction. When we do kirtan programs, like in London, we have this, we call it Kirtan London. And it was started by Janaki Jivana. And every few months, we do kirtans all over London, and we invite people in general just to come. And we offer them kirtan and prashad. And so only the best kirtan singers are there for that. And everybody likes it, it's very nice. And that really attracts people. And then after they come for a while, getting attracted simply by kirtan. And then they start to give them prashadam, and then eventually they get in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books. And sometimes they actually come to the temple. So, but everything has to be first class. In other words, the melodies, the music, singing, everything. Because the Western mind can't handle, the bhakti without elements, So that's there. So just to make that point, but in essence, kirtan means to glorify the Lord. And that's the principle. It's not about the excellence of elements to support that. Prabhupada said, just like if you have a 1 and you put a zero after the 1, every 0 multiplies that number by 10. So the excellence of elements in the kirtan make the kirtan even more sweeter, more attractive, apparently more devotional. But if you just have a bunch of zeros without the 1, without the desire to glorify the Lord, please the Lord in kirtan, then all you have is zeros. Some people might be attracted to that, but devotees won't. Okay, so I just thought that might be something that's actually said here. Okay, the words mad artha ta pratigyagu indicate that one should spend one's money for festivals glorifying the personality of Godhead, such as Bhaktivedanta, Janmashtami, and Gora Purnima. Also, one is inherent in here instructed to spend money to assist the mission of one's spiritual master and other Vaishnavas. Wealth that cannot be used properly in the service of the Lord and is thus an impediment to one's clear consciousness should be given up entirely. So what is wealth? Wealth is Lakshmi. It's the internal energy of the Lord. And it's meant for spreading the glories of the Lord. That's the purpose of the wealth. That it requires wealth in order to take what we have and to spread in different ways, different venues, different types of festivals. So that is the best use of wealth. Of course, we take what we need to keep body and soul together, and whatever is extra, as mentioned, it should be spent for propagating religious principles. And also mentions here, Rath Yatra, or Purnima, Janmashtami festivals, Ram Nomi festivals, festivals that glorify the Lord. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would collect money and he would put on big festivals. That was one of his main preaching. And he would invite sometimes 20, 30,000 people. And they would come and they would feed everybody. So all the monies that they collected in their preaching went to making festivals and feeding the people who came. So wealth and use in the service of the Lord actually increases. It increases for those who give. There was one devotee who joined our movement. He was actually an entrepreneur. He was quite wealthy, had many businesses, and he would travel around the world. And then he speaks himself. He said, after I joined the Hare Krishna movement, he was very generous. He would give hundreds and thousands of rupees, dollars, whatever currencies he had, to various projects in India and in the West. And he said, my business increased 8 times. Because Krishna said, oh, you know what to do with money? Here's some more. So Krishna sees that, he's going to give more. When it's done in the right mood, of course. Not that, oh, I gave a donation. You remember my name? My name is Mr. Patel. You put it on the wall right there, gold letters. Make sure everyone sees it. In fact, we should put it right on the door so when they come in, they see my name first. And you know that Mr. Patel is the best. I mean, I've seen it in temples. You know, when I give donations, you gotta put the name up. Gotta be there. My name is not there, then I'm not there. I remember I had a big fight in the Chicago temple. They tore down Prabhupada's picture to put up the plaque with all the names on it, and one section of the wall in the lobby. So what I did is I tore down the plaque and put Prabhupada's picture. At first they were a little shocked. Oh gosh, you're not supposed to act like that. But I didn't care. And they left it down. They just put the plaque somewhere else. That was good. But it's the idea is you give for the sake of giving and not thinking about what I can get from that giving. That's real giving. And because when you give to Krishna, what does he say anyway? Everything belongs to me anyway. Prabhupada used to say something funny. He says, my money is my money, and your money is my money. Which means that the spiritual master controls Krishna's money, and whatever you give to the spiritual master, he uses it for Krishna. Yeah. And so wealth has great value, and when it's used in the service of the Lord, it can do wonders to spread Krishna consciousness, and it does great benefit for those who give with that. Because people are very much attracted and attached to their wealth. So this is one of the austerities that Krishna mentions here. And then he goes on to say, the word bhagashya refers to sense gratification headed by sex enjoyment. And sukhasya refers to sentimental material happiness, such as an excessive family attachment. So it's good to be attached to the family, but not excessively. If the attachment to the family is greater than our attachment to Krishna, we're not understanding what is devotional service. It's natural to be attached to family members, and that attachment brings about responsibilities and duties and relationships to each other. And so therefore, without the attachment, the responsibilities don't get done or are not seen as important. But ultimately, who are our family members? Who are our friends? They are also Krishna's parcels. So by serving family members, by giving them Krishna consciousness, guiding them in that process of devotional service, you are serving Krishna. You are actually engaged in devotional service. Yes. If the guru doesn't have 100 pillows, he's not a real spiritual master. Come on, I need about 99 more pillows. Pillow loca. So, too much material comfort is a discredit in devotional service mostly. Like, I won't get into that. This takes away from this here. So, yeah, one should be attached to the family members in such a way as to give them Krishna consciousness or help them in being Krishna conscious. So, no matter what role you are in, you can also help your father, your mother, children from that perspective to be an example for Krishna consciousness and to help them also guide you. And then that's real family life. And that family is never lost. Our material family is lost at the time of death, but the spiritual family carries on beyond death, because once that relationship is made on the spiritual platform, it's never lost. Never lost. And again, it'll be regained when we go back to the spiritual world in perfection. Okay, and then towards the end of the purport, the words Datu Huta indicates that one should offer to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas first-class pizza. No. First-class foods cooked in ghee. When Prabhupada started the movement, he said only ghee. And then we thought, that's expensive. The temple started to put in safflower oil, this oil, that oil. And ghee became luxury rather than a regular thing. The Prabhupada said food cooked in ghee is healthy. It's healthy, and it's nutritious, and it's also tasty. Of course, we know that ghee makes everything taste very nicely. Of course, everything is done in moderation accordingly. But ghee is the foundation for offering nice foodstuffs to be cooked in ghee. One should offer the vibration swaha to Lord Vishnu in an authorized sacred fire along with grains and ghee. In other words, when we do the homas, we say swaha, swaha. And those two words, swaha, give the enunciation or the perfection of the yajna. You're throwing, what are you throwing? You're throwing in your material desires into the fire, and they're becoming purified and becoming relieved through the process of chanting the words and performing the activity. The word japtam indicates that one should constantly chant the holy names of the Lord. Satatam kirtanam tomam is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. One should always be chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Sometimes people say, "Well, I have so many problems." There was one very senior spiritual master in our movement. He's a personal friend of mine. He was telling me, he's like in charge of a big yatra. And he was saying devotees were coming to me regularly with many problems. And so I would listen to their problems and give advice. But then they just kept coming. So he thought, what I'm going to do is for the next year, and he did it, he gave every class on the glories of the holy name, the importance of chanting. Every class. He was giving classes every day for a whole year. And he said after 1 year, more than 50% of the problems were reduced. That's the problem. We don't chant. We don't chant. So the holy name is antiseptic, purifying, and is protective. It protects against the material energy, and it kind of elevates your consciousness. And it keeps you, sometimes you find yourself in a difficult situation. As soon as you chant the holy names, everything changes. Or if you're chanting the holy names, the difficult situation that could have happened to you didn't happen because you were protected by the holy name. That happens a lot. So the holy name is complete in its protection and its purification of the heart. So one should practice chanting. Therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, one should chant. If one chants every day, one will come to the point of chanting always. So we have our vow, we chant 16 rounds if we're initiated. We follow that every day. We develop that chanting. As we develop that chanting, naturally we will increase that chanting. Because as chanting develops, it becomes sweeter and more relishable. And when that happens, one starts to want to chant more. The Prabhupada said, then he says, 16 rounds, why not 16,000 rounds? He said, you'll think like that. Why should I stop? It's so nice. We were doing japa retreats with Satchidananda Maharaj many years ago. We did one in New York State in 2008. So it was 5 days of chanting japa. And there was every day was 32 rounds, except 2 days were 64 rounds. And so we would come together in the morning, have a little discussion, and then throughout the day, the devotees would just chant. We'd come in again in the evening and give a little report. And then we found that many devotees, including myself, they didn't stop at 64. They just kept going. One devotee chanted 128 rounds in one day. So when you get a taste, and that's how you develop a taste, by chanting. The more you chant, and you try to perfect that chanting by hearing nicely, that taste will develop. When the taste develops, the desire to chant becomes more natural. Then it becomes just you and the holy name. So we can practice that to try and increase our chanting. And you're not in the material world anymore when you're in the holy name. Although you may think you are, but you're not. You're in the spiritual consciousness, and therefore you're completely surrounded by spiritual energy. The holy name is so powerful. There's a beautiful verse. Do you have the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, first part? I want to read this one statement. It's very difficult to understand. And this kind of illustrates the all-exclusive power of the holy name. This one statement Prabhupada gives in one purport in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's interesting. When I read it, I thought, wow. And of course, in the third canto, there's a whole series of what is called liberation by sound. How sound actually elevates one's consciousness to the spiritual world. And sound is the foundation for all knowledge. All knowledge comes through sound. All knowledge comes through sound. Second canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. And I'm pretty sure I know the verse. It's interesting. It's a purport, and in that purport, Prabhupada's, here it is. He's speaking about the glories of the holy name. And he says, and then I'll just give you a little prelude that leads up to the statement. It says here, since no one is more powerful than or equal to the energy of the Supreme One, no one's name can be as powerful as that of the Lord. And then he says, by chanting the Lord's holy name, one can derive all stipulated energy synchronized from all sources. That's quite scientific. I'll read it again. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can derive all stipulated energy synchronized from all sources. When Dhruva Maharaj was chanting the holy name of the Lord, all the energy of the universe was concentrated on Dhruva in such a way that the universe could not function. Because he had blocked the universal energy by his austerity of chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and performing those things, which is another way to chant the Mahamantra. So that's how powerful it is. It pulls in energies from everywhere. And you're connected with Krishna. You might say, well, I don't feel like. Well, that may also be true, but continue to chant it. Because it will happen in due course of time if we have faith and continue to chant. And whatever you're doing, if you find yourself not doing anything, or what am I going to do now? Chant. And so just pick up the beads and chant. If you're with a few people, then have a nice bhajan. And then everything is wonderful. And so the holy name remains the focus, or the, what you say, the epitome of all spiritual practice. There's nothing more. Kalir doshani viraja, asti eko mahagun, kirtana evi Krishna siya mukta sangam puram. This age of Kali is Kalir doshani, an ocean of faults. But there is asti eko. What is that echo? Asti. Kirtana eva Krishnas, Samahavun. And by doing that, one can enter into the spiritual world and be freed from all material contamination. Power of the Holy Name. But we don't have that faith. Or we just think, yeah, 16 rounds. Got that done. Now life starts. I got to do it tomorrow again. I don't want to think about it now. Right? Now's the time to enjoy. It's like, oh, here comes, I have to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, 16 rounds. So difficult. But if you have that consciousness, it'll be like, if you think, I get to chant. I want to chant. I love to chant. Use that mantra before you chant every day. I get to chant, mercy. I want to chant, enthusiastic. Not only that, I love to chant. If you apply that to your chanting, you'll see it's a whole different experience. But if you think, oh, here comes Krishna in the form of his holy name, he's going to block all my fun for a couple hours. We don't think like that, but subtly we do. It's like in the background of our consciousness. So yeah, so the holy name is the panacea. Eneche asari maya nasi badalagi harinama mahamantra lao tumi mata. Bhaktivedanta says, Eneche asari, the medicine. I've come with the medicine. What is that? Nasi badalagi harinam mahamantra lao tumi mata. Chant Hare. Then everything else will follow. And well, don't wait, don't join the late night japa. Because those members are miserable. Chant early. Chant before the day begins, because then you'll have the foundation, you have the spiritual mercy and strength to go through the day in a way that makes the day more clear and easy to deal with. You're equipped with the mercy of the Holy Name. I mean, sometimes we find ourselves in a schedule which doesn't allow it, but as best as you can, try to chant early. So I've been doing for 4 years now. Every day I chant 16 rounds. That's it. And I know other devotees have also adopted it also. And it's a world of difference. It's the difference between, red and blue. It's completely a different experience. You'll find it in your spiritual life. There was one devotee, he was a kirtanier, and he is a kirtanier along with his brother in London. And his father was a devotee also. He's an initiated devotee, but his father was getting angry all the time. He'd get angry easy. And so that was a disturbance in the family. So his son told him, chant 16 rounds in the morning before you do it. Just do that. Okay, we told him to write directly. So the father was a little open and he decided to do it. So he did it. He was doing it regularly. After that, his anger went away. Completely dissipated his anger. So that's just one example of how effective the early japa is. It's really the whole basis of consciousness. And there's devotees I know, they lock themselves in the room and don't bother me, I'll see you after 16 rounds. There's nothing to talk about. Take the cell phone, shut it off. Not cell phone japa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, message. Hare message, Hare. Hare, I don't like this message. Stop it, turn it off. Turn the cell phone off, just leave that. And don't play beat the clock japa either. Try to get your rounds done as fast as you can. Try to chant nicely, hear nicely, give your attention to the sound of the holy name. Pray to the holy name for mercy during and beginning before you chant japa. That also gives you extra ability to chant nicely. And Bhaktivedanta actually says that. He says, one cannot chant attentively unless they pray to chant. So that's also a requirement for chanting attentively. To pray. It is a beautiful prayer. It's by Bhaktivedanta Thakur. It's offered to Srila Haridas Thakur. He says, O Vaishnav Thakur, alone I have no hope to chant the holy names of Sri Hari. Please be merciful, and with a particle of faith, give me the treasure of the holy name. That's a simple prayer offered to Srila Haridas. And so there are many, many other prayers. You can pray to the spiritual master, pray to Srila Prabhupada, pray to Lord Chaitanya, and pray even to Krishna himself. And then that will help us in developing the enthusiasm and to chant more nice. So here, after everything is said, the last thing is said is the importance. And one should chant constantly 24 hours a day. It's Krishna saying this. Constantly glorification of me in the form of my Lord. Okay, so these are some things we can think about. We just hit a few of the 15, maybe about 4 or 5. So maybe if there's questions or comments or anything. Yes, Hare Krishna, what is your name?
Jita Mitra Govindadas.
Jita Mitra Govindadas. Typataka That one easy to guess. Jita Mitra Govindadas. Mitra means friend. Jita means the inconceivable or all-powerful friend of Govinda. Wow. Whoa. We can dance to that name. Make a bhajan. Beautiful name. Thank you very much. Just to hear that name. Wonderful.
So, Maharaj, I had a question. Very early on in your lecture, you mentioned about the Kumaras, the pastime of the Kumaras and Jai Vijay, and you mentioned that when the whole event was unfolding, Vishnu was so concerned that he forgot Garuda. And
He immediately came, it's mentioned.
Yeah.
He didn't waste time. Said he didn't take help from his carrier. He came on his own.
Yeah. And so when you were telling the pastime, I was thinking about, the event that happened recently in Bangladesh.
Oh.
And me also being from that country. Obviously when the event happened, I was very angry.
So was I. Many devotees were. There's a Kshatriya group now forming in Mayapur based on that, and they're going to train devotees now in a very serious way, and probably set up some kind of militia in Bangladesh. Because I was angry. I was angry in 2 ways. One, because it happened, and 2, because the devotees were not ready. Because it's happened before in the past. They should have known to be ready that could happen again. The devotees should have been ready. They should have had, guns. You have to protect Krishna, you have to protect the devotees, you have to protect the paraphernalia of the temple. It's the duty. And Prabhupada said, we have to train devotees to fight and for attack. But they're not trained and they're not ready. That's just, I don't know. I don't want to criticize, but that's what I was feeling a little. I'm very unhappy that they weren't ready. But I don't think that's going to happen again. Because there's some serious things happening. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, having grown up part of my life there, I have had first-hand experiences. So
I've been to Bangladesh many times.
Yeah. And my question was kind of that, you tell the story and Vishnu came immediately, and here this whole event is happening, and so how do we, let's say, philosophically reconcile the 2 points?
Oh, why didn't the Lord protect them?
Yeah, here we're seeing the story of the Kumaras, and he's just there, and here we have this event unfold. And I know, this is not the first time the devotees are being.
It happens many places, even in America. One of our temples was firebombed in America, in Memphis, Tennessee, many years ago. One devotee was killed. I was in New Vrindavan when we got attacked by a motorcycle gang. I was right in the midst of that. They had shotguns and knives, and they surrounded us. So, but right after that happened, that was 1974, 73. And Srila Prabhupada, when he got the word, he sent in one devotee who was a Green Beret Marine to train the devotees. And we were doing army calisthenics. We were firing rifles. I had just gotten out of the army, and I was thinking, am I dreaming or not? I thought I was now in Krishna consciousness, everything is so nice. Yeah, I was with a group of devotees, and we were trying to escape, and we were accosted by one gang member and forced to go back into the temple. So the devotees were, we 4 devotees got shot, and 1 devotee later died of the shot. He got leukemia because it was buckshot, and it got into his body, and they couldn't take it out. So it turned into gangrene, and then led to leukemia, and later he died. And 3 other devotees were also killed. But Prabhupada really got the devotees motivated in a militaristic way to protect. And what we were doing, what we did after that, for weeks, months, we were standing guard 24 hours a day with rifles to protect the deities. So the devotees were taking turns. Every devotee would have a 2-hour shift to guard the deities. We called it deity watch. And it was a fiasco. I mean, they destroyed the whole altar and broke the deities. And there was no reason for that, because it was actually a mistake. The whole story is explained in Radha Damodar Vilas by what's his name? Vyasaki Prabhu, yeah. And yeah. So the devotees should have been ready. I don't know why they weren't ready. And the government, they called the police, but the police came after it was all over. And that was, they didn't care. So the devotees are not so much appreciated in that country. The country is 85% Islamic, 12% Hindu, and 3% other denominations like that. So it's 85%. When I traveled around Bangladesh, I found the Islamic population very friendly. They were very friendly to me. I was wearing robes like this. They're very friendly and also very respectful. It's just a small group of fanatics. That's all it is. It doesn't really indicate the Islamic population in general. It's just these fanatics who don't know anything about religion. And they're just violent. So we have to be prepared for that. And this point is important because it can happen in any country in the world, not just Bangladesh. It could happen in America or anywhere. People develop hate for a certain class of people or a certain type of religious system, and then they become fanatic. We had the same problem in Poland. Christian church who was instigating Gundas to come and break up our programs. The church was inspiring these Gundas to come and attack us. Fortunately, Indrajumna Maharaj set up a really good security team. And every time they came, they got beaten back. Pretty bad. So he was on top of it. He had a whole security team of some of the best fighters because they were ready. The Christians were doing anything to kick us out. They tried so hard. After a while, when they couldn't kick us out, they tried to imitate our festival. And so let's try it because they're having so much success. Maybe we should try what they did. We can't kick them out, so at least maybe we could copy them. Yeah, but they didn't have much success with that either. So that failed. Because Krishna consciousness is all attractive. So your question is, Krishna gives the intelligence. And if we don't take the intelligence, sometimes we have to take the results. these devotees should have been ready. I mean, it's happened 2 or 3 other times before in the past, in a smaller version. But this time it was worse, right? How many people died?
I mean, from the ISKCON devotees too.
And one young boy, 24 years old. And they had a picture of him in the ISKCON news. And so another devotee also died?
Yeah, 2 devotees died and one was critically, I don't know his status right now.
Yeah.
But on a larger scale, just Hindus in general, I think 6 people died. So,
Other people were involved also.
yeah, like other Hindus, because they attacked like a total of maybe 22 temples. And like ISKCON was one of them, but you had many other.
Oh, okay.
Protect the Durga Puja.
Yeah, so it was,
Yeah, there's always that danger. I mean, Prabhupada talks about, he said we should train a class of devotees to protect our temples. I mean, that's Prabhupada, that was 50 years ago. He said it. We're thinking, well, Krishna's there, he'll protect us. But he gives you the intelligence, that's another way. Krishna protects through giving the intelligence. If we don't accept his guidance, then we may find ourselves being victimized. Yeah, it's a very sad situation. But now the devotees are really getting serious. So now there's some real serious martial arts training programs going on. We have many devotees in our movement who are expert fighters. So many. I worked with a whole group of Kshatriyas for a few years. We tried to develop Kshatriya Dharma. So I know at least 20, 30 of them. I mean, they're so good fighters. And they know how to fight and they're not aggressors. A real fighter is a protector, not an aggressor. Anybody know Sri Hanuman? Heard of him? Yeah, he's an American. He took on the whole gang of people that attacked our temple by himself. And there was nothing left of them. He's my good friend. He said, Maharaj, can I travel with you and be your bodyguard? I said, you can do much more better service than that. I'm sure you could be used otherwise. So I didn't do it. So now he's opened up a training system in India. He's training people in the villages with martial arts. He's a Westerner. He's from Colorado, I think. We have many devotees who are qualified, and they don't have service. So by training them and engaging them in service, then they actually have some service. Many of them are working outside, training other people for money so they can get some money. And they're martial artists and they train other people. And they use it but they could be engaged in Krishna consciousness. So there's not much emphasis coming from the top. Maybe after this incident in Bangladesh, maybe things will change. Because if it happens again, we should be ready. You can't depend on the government protection. They don't really. They support these people. Yeah. Any other questions, comments on anything? Yes?
Maharaj, on similar in the history of India, there used to be a group of the Kshatriyas who protected the religion.
What are they called? They're called
Sikhs.
There's Sikhs, but there's another one. The actual ones that are born, they're called
Rajput?
Huh?
Rajput?
Rajput.
Rajputs.
Yeah, Rajputs. Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole class of these people. Yes. Yeah. Sikhs, the Gurkhas, the Jats. Yeah, they're also.
It was basically made to protect that Aurangzeb and Muslim rulers were invading Punjab.
Yeah.
That's when Sikhism came, and it's a relatively new religion. Basically, came to protect the Punjab area.
Yeah, that was the what was it, the Gurkhas?
The Sikhs.
The Sikhs, the Sikhs, yeah.
Army and was attacking India.
Mhm.
The Mughals were attacking. That's when actually the first guru of the Sikh was a Brahmin. So that's how
Even Subhash Chandra Bose organized the Indian National Army. That's what drove the British out. And he was using Gurkhas and Jats. They worship Lord Nrsimhadev, the Gurkhas.
Sikhism, they decided to have one child donated for the army
Mhm.
by default
Yeah.
from each family.
I mean, Kshatriya is one of the 4 Varnas. Krishna says, Chaturvarna, I've established these. So protection, management, and organization is the business of Kshatriya. They're meant to organize, they're meant to protect, they're meant to also to give in charity. Yeah, so we've developed a nice Brahminical culture in our society. But we don't really have too much emphasis on Kshatriya and Vaishya. But there are Vaishyas there, that's there, but it's not in an organized way. So Prabhupada's idea was to create a Brahminical culture and then have the Brahmins train the other Varnas on how to execute their Varna, train people in Kshatriya Dharma and also in Vaishya Dharma. Sutras don't need training. What do you train them for? They're just assistants. And they're the workers, they carry out things. They also do arts and crafts. Arts and crafts is also Sudra work. IT experts of Sudra. Prabhupada said that. I'm sorry if it offends anybody. Yeah, because what you do, you just move something from one place to another. It's going to take some brains to do that. It's in the category of engineering. No? So engineer is a Sudra. I'm sorry. But if you use it in Krishna consciousness, it's transcendental. And then it's bhakti. And it doesn't matter what the occupation is, it's the service that is. Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class. In the class, you may also mentioned about how His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur used to organize large festivals and spend so much money in donations.
All its collections would go to festivals.
So when we organize these kind of festivals, what should be our mood when we celebrate so many festivals like
To invite other people in, to bring in people who not necessarily come to the festivals or new people, because this is a very nice way to introduce people to Krishna consciousness through a festival. They get a very powerful spiritual experience, and then from there they're more open to, Krishna consciousness. So festivals are very wonderful preaching. There was one devotee in London. He disappeared in 2000.
Who was the president?
He was just kirtan here. He used to organize festivals.
Tribhuvannath Prabhu?
Huh?
Tribhuvannath Prabhu?
You got it.
Tribhuvannath Prabhu.
Tribhuvannath Prabhu, yeah, that's right. Tribhuvannath. And he created a team, and they would go to different places and put on festivals, 3, 4, 5 day festivals. Different kind, varieties of Krishna conscious activities. He did it all over Africa. He did it all over the UK and tried to do it in many other countries. He was fearless. So many, and it's still going on now. the legacy he started after he disappeared, some of his devotees who were with him actually carried on in a very wonderful way. And it's Giri Dari Prabhu now is doing it in London. And all they do is they go around and they hold kirtan festivals everywhere. And they invite people, they do also lectures, various things, and they just get different venues. And that's all they do. You go from place to place to just doing kirtan festival. 24, they do it the whole year around. So yeah, these festivals are really ways to invite new people in. And make the festival nice as possible. Prabhupada, it says here we should spend money for these festivals. Rath Yatra is one of the most influential festivals in attracting new people. Because people who see the Rath Yatra would generally never come to temples and maybe they have no inclination for spiritual life. Now they see something, they get attracted. It's very colorful. So our Rath Yatras are really one of the best forms of preaching. Rath Yatras are big. We distribute prasadam at Rath Yatras. And we distribute books at Rath Yatras. We meet new people at Rath Yatras. And when we did that Rath Yatra in Philadelphia, right? Last month, that was nice. Yeah, you saw how many people on the sides were chanting and dancing with us. Rath Yatras are really powerful. And of course, Janmashtami and all these regular holidays. Anything else? Anyone else?
Well, as a follow-up to that question, we are Bhaktivedanta, we don't have any ISKCON temple nearby. The nearest is 1 hour away. So
It's Harrisburg.
Harrisburg, or yeah,
That's how far is it?
1 hour.
It's not so. It's not so far. We'll go shopping and we'll travel for 2 hours. Yeah, no, 1 hour is not so far. And you know, the more you support the temple, the more the temple builds up, the more the temple comes, they get more support, they get more money, then they can do more programs, and then more people come. We should support our temples and not simply just go there, have a visit, pay our dandavats, leave a bag of rice and go. That's not fun. Since to try to support, when one should think, what temple, what service I can do for the temple, even if I come once a week and do some service. If one family came once a week with 7 families, then every day the temple would have more and more activities. They could put on more festivals. They could distribute more prasadam. Yeah, the temples require support from the devotees, and the devotees will benefit from that because sadhu sangha is there. When we go to temples, we meet the devotees, and we develop relationships with devotees. Yeah, it's important. Anasuya, any questions?
Marge, I'm afraid.
Comments?
No, Marge, I'm actually afraid that if I speak, I might cry. So I'm trying to hold.
Well, that's good. If you cry, it'll make the whole lecture, worthwhile. I'm crying because nobody's crying. Well, thank you for coming back. It's really happy to see you came.
Thank you for pushing us, Mark. I was really feeling a lot of pain when you used the word disappointment.
Well, I was.
I know. That's what made me, and I was thinking, you know, how you would have probably crying.
Now I have. Now I owe you one. I have to come to your temple. Thinking about that too, but this Sunday is not possible. But we're in the area for a while.
But I want to sincerely, Mark, forgive us for making you disappointed.
Oh, you didn't disappoint him. You came back.
Don't give up on us, please.
If you don't give up on me, I won't give up on you. Prabhupada used to say that. If you don't give up on Krishna, he doesn't give up on you. Same with the devotees. Every Thursday, I do a program with the Harrisburg devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam class in the morning. One of my favorite classes. In fact, the favorite class. They always have nice questions coming from the devotees. And then we have Vishaka there. Every time we need a verse, okay, she's there doing the verse. Berks with his very difficult questions. But that's good. It makes me think. Okay, should we conclude here? Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai. Hare Krishna. Let's say 3 times Hari Bol for Maharaj. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. It was such a wonderful class, and hearing your experiences, just listening to them is so inspiring, and we can feel the presence of Srila Prabhupada, how much dedication and how much surrender all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada have been to, and how much service all of you have been doing. And we are just sitting here, not able to do much, but it has been very inspiring. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and we really look forward to your visits more and more. Whenever you're in the, we know it's like a very little town, but whenever you're in the area, please have a mercy on us. Thank you, Kishori Mataji, for arranging the program. Because of your desire, it has happened. So I will quickly do a couple of announcements, just maybe in a couple of minutes, if I know how to share it, because we have a few devotees online also. So let me just figure out. Very hard to manage both Zoom and in-person program. Anyway, I will probably just go. So this is the month of Kartik, right? So just Maharaj was saying, it's very important. This movement, Hare Krishna movement, is the movement of preaching, not just sitting. Of course, we have to chant, we have to do bhajan, we have to do kirtan. But what pleases our spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada most is outreaching, right? And not just just getting together for our own sake. We have to really reach out to people. We have to just make the effort. Whether we are successful or not, that's Krishna's desire, right? So, especially in this month of Kartik, at least we can reach out to all our contacts. We should not be shy about that. We have so many friends, right? They might not be coming to the program, they might not be chanting. At least we can organize little prayer for them at their home. You can reach out that special month, you'll get a lot of blessings, a lot of protection, and just go there and do a lamp arti for them. You can take picture of Radha Damodar, Yashoda Damodar, and do arti. Very simple thing, 45 minutes maybe, not more than 30 minutes to 45. So please let us know if any of your friends or contacts would like to have such program. Please reach out to them. Second day is, of course, as Maharaj said, we have a daily morning Bhagavatam classes on the Zoom through ISKCON of Harrisburg, and Maharaj comes there every Thursday, almost every Thursday. So please join us. Timing is 8 to 9 p.m. So if you are working from home or if you can listen, while working, please feel free to join the classes. This coming Friday, November 5th, what is that? Govardhan Puja ki jai, right? So as Maharaj said, it's very, very important to get connected to temple. The festivals should be celebrated in temple. The idea of outreaching programs is that we organize festivals for inviting others, right? That is the idea. So please join on Friday, November 5th, 6:30 p.m. It's ISKCON of Harrisburg. We are organizing a wonderful, wonderful Govardhan Puja. Any details you need, Mataji is there. She can explain to you. Any services you want to do, of course, always there are services, right?
There's no ISKCON temple that will say no service, right, Maharaj?
Right. Absolutely right.
Then following day, what we are doing? Govardhan Puja in Reading, right? Berks Bhakti Yoga Govardhan Puja. And that's the idea. We should reach out to as many people as we can, invite them, give them the opportunity of chanting the holy name, eat prasadam. So Govardhan Puja is so famous, right? It will attract everybody. So please reach out to your contacts, your friends, and have this outreach program on Saturday, November 6th. It will be hosted by Rachna Mataji and Siddhartha. And the time is 1:30 p.m. So again, Saturday, November 6th, 1:30 p.m. And Friday, we are celebrating at Temple. Then going to be a power packed weekend. Sunday, November 7th, what is that? Haribo! Haribo! Prabhupada ki jai. So we are going to celebrate the Tirubhav, the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada on November 7th. The timing is 5 p.m. So please join us. Very, very important. Where? In ISKCON of Harrisburg Temple. November 7th at 5 p.m. I don't have words to, why we should be there. Without Srila Prabhupada, we are nowhere. He's our savior. Right? Agreed?
Yes.
Haribo. Okay, one more. Probably this is the last one. A lot of things are coming up. Saturday, November 28th. Holiday parade in Harrisburg.
What is it?
Maharaj, it is whether you would like to explain?
Maharaj, it's a holiday parade that the city of Harrisburg organizes the week for Thanksgiving, where they allow community organizations to take part in the parade. And we missed for 2 years. So this year we are starting back. They invited us back, and we're doing a walking Sankirtan party.
In their parade.
In their parade.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
So it's going to be a special costume for all the Prabhujis and Matajis. So if anyone would like to join, let us know as soon as possible, because we'll have to arrange the costume for you. Okay, it's going to be a very disciplined program.
It's a dress code. It's not a costume,
Okay.
It's a dress code, because the theme is very and bright, and we're trying to fit into the theme and still be the Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we do that in the Washington DC parade.
Yes.
The devotees wear either red, yellow, white, and blue kind of banners, and then we march in the parade. That's on the 4th of July.
Yeah, so this one will be on Saturday, November 20th.
10 in the morning.
10 in the
It
morning.
starts at 10 in the morning, and we have to assemble by 9:30. And I just gave in the form this afternoon to the city confirming. So if there are more participants, ASAP. We need to know ASAP.
How beautiful it will be. We all will be marching for 1.5 miles, promoting Hare Krishna in the, in their agreement with the kind of thing that we will have. It's like you can see like Nagar Fairy in India, like Naam Jap. Devotees go out on the street and do the Naam Jap. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to do it. That's kind of, you can say, Nagar Sankirtan.
One of the most enjoyable events.
Haribo.
Yeah, we have experienced a couple of times.
And all the Prabhuji will have the pagadi. Okay, last not the least, Friday, every Friday we are meeting here. Now we'll be in person. No more Zoom. I'm tired of Zoom. Handling it, including the presentation. So in-person program with Maharaj Mercy. This is the first program Maharaj we are having in person after the COVID epidemic.
Oh, really?
Hare Krishna. So we'll keep meeting on Friday, 7:30. I hope it will work out. If it not, please make it work out. Okay, that's all. Anything anyone would like to ask? Need any more details? Any questions? Any comments? Good. So we'll do Damodar Ashtakam. We'll sing Damodar Ashtakam and offer the lamps to the Lord. Then we'll have what? Prashadam. Haribo. That will be Bharati.
Who's our singer?
His Grace Prakshit Das Prabhu.
Right.
In the chair over here. In the chair over here. Yeah.
Cartels? How about this table?
What table? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this one I do that.
I opened it, but I did not realize exactly. Yeah, you don't not Namah Sati Ananda Rupa Asat Nana Bhagavana
Bhaktivedanta
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste
His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jarom Vishnupad Paramahans Parivar Jagatacharya Astotra Satu Sri Sriman. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj ki. Ananta Gauri Vaishnavinda ki. Mahamacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Rup Sanatana Bhagavatam Shri Gopal Bhatt Das Bhagavatam Sat Goswami ki. Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki. Vrindavan Dham ki. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki. Jagannath Puri Dham ki. Angamai ki. Yamunamai ki. Tulsi Devi ki. Bhakti Devi ki. Hare Bhaktivedanta ki. Shri Shri Kishore Kishori ki. Shri Shri Kishore Kishori ki. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki. Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki. Shri Shri Gauranitai ki. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki. Mahamahotsava Shri Damodar month ki. Jai Gopagrande. To the assembled devotees, glory to the assembled devotees, all glory to the assembled devotees, glory to Shri Guru and Shri Govinda. Shri Prabhupada.
His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj ki.
Rishi Prabhu ki.
Ki Jai. We can have another round. No, I'm done. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, thank you so much for joining tonight. And we pray to Lord Krishna that we can have a session of Maharaj again soon. So let's once again do 3 Hari Bol for Maharaj. Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Not even all yours. Yes, you have to bring the Prashadam from. Okay. Thank you. Hari Bol. Yeah, this. Actually, this works.
Harira Avijja Jao.
Harira Avijja Jao.
Yodandriya Karika.
Yodandriya Karika.
Jante Veki Sai Sabdole. Okay. I'll tell one joke. It's not a joke. It's actually a serious ISKCON event. When the new boy was put out on Sanctitas, and he had a distributed book, he didn't know too much about the movement or anything. But he went out on books and he was distributing books. He came across this very nice man. And the man was looking at the book and he was looking at it and he turned it over to the other side and guess what he saw? Which was all of that. And the man said, what does A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami mean? No, he said, what does A.C. mean? And the boy said, always cool.
Haribo.
True story.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for joining online. We will end the session now. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one of the ladies will like this. Another Hare Krishna true story. So one lady, she joined the Hare Krishna movement and she was a man hater. Full-fledged man hater. But you know, without anybody. So she was worshiping after some time she came to Prabhupada. She said, Swamiji, I just can't worship that man Krishna. Prabhupada said, that's okay, Radharani's higher.
Haribo. Radharani ki jai.
Sorry.
One more.
That's all it is, guys. All right. This one you could all understand. This is a typical story. One Hindu man is walking across the street and he walks in the middle of the street, he collapses and people fall around him and what's happening? Looks like the man had a stroke. He's still alive and people are wondering how to help him. Finally, a police officer comes and the man says, "Give me a Hindu priest. Give me a Hindu priest." And so the police said, "Are there any Hindu priests in the crowd?" "Oh, buddy." Finally, one Jewish man said, "I'm not a Hindu priest, but I live right next to the Hare Krishna temple and I know all their prayers." "Okay, you'll do. Okay, say the prayer to the man." And he gets down and he said, "We want to thank Mr. Patel for his donations to the Sunday School." That's the main prayer.
Your man probably
I
survived.
mean, that's what you call an archetype. I have more jokes. They're not so good. One more? We start getting into the ethnic jokes.
It's fine.
All right. Is there any Chinese people here?
No.
Okay, I can tell it. All right, so how do Chinese people do their name giving ceremony?
They drop the coin and it makes a sound.
Well, they take a pot, they throw it up in the air, and it hits the ground, and it goes wong, ring, ching. Chinese name giving ceremony. trying to think of some really nice jokes. I don't know what the nice jokes.